to the channel. This is Chris from Offroad Nation 606. So I just done the 5.7 Hemi swap. I do have the cover off right now because I'm just trying to straighten up a couple wires, clean the engine bay up a little bit more. So we did get to drive the Jeep a little bit and test a couple things out. So now that everything's running pretty good, I need to go ahead and put the exhaust system on. I did pick up a couple parts from AutoZone. So I got a couple 45s and 90s, and I got the Y pipe. The reason I'm doing the exhaust last is because I had to do the 3-link in the front to make room for the exhaust, because the way the short arms were, there really wasn't enough room to clear the manifold. So I done a 3-link, that way I could cut all the short arm brackets off and make more room for the exhaust. So I saved the pieces that bolts onto the manifold. That's got the flange. I am going to reuse that piece just to make it a little bit easier. Okay, so looking under a Jeep, so with the transmission and all the mounts, there really ain't a whole lot of room to be able to run dual exhaust. So that's the reason I bought the Y pipe, so I can convert it to single, because right here is really the only spot we have to run it through. So I may have to trim a little bit off that bracket, but we need to put our Y pipe right past the cross member here. That way there'll be enough room. Okay, to show you this a little bit better, so we're up front and right there is the exhaust manifold, and right there is where the cross member is. So they ain't gonna be enough room to run 2 pipes through there, because on the Hemi they're a 2.5 inch, and there just isn't enough room because of the 3-link. So we're gonna have to put the Y closer to the front here and then run the single through there. So it's gonna sit something kind of like this, and right there will leave us enough room. It's pretty much out of the way from everything. So I got a couple 90s and 45s, and we should be able to run that pipe right through here and then curve over into our Y pipe. On the passenger side here, it should be pretty easy. Should be able to just run a 45 down and then a straight piece of pipe. I was really wanting to run a dual exhaust system all the way back, but they really just ain't the room to do that. And I can't do it on the driver's side because that's where your transfer case is, and the drive line will be right in the way. Now the stock XJ tailpipe is 2 1/4, and the Hemi pipe, it's 2 1/2. So I really want to make it a true 2 1/2 all the way back. So I actually found a tailpipe on, I think it was eBay or Amazon. It was one of those that actually had a XJ tailpipe in 2 1/2 inch. So here is the tailpipe. And something I like about this, you don't really see many of these on the XJ, but the end of the exhaust tip is actually square. So I thought that was something kind of different. Okay, so I'm going to start with the driver's side first. It looks like that the exhaust manifold looks like it sits about like a 45-degree angle the way I got it cut off. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm going to slide this 45 over it and kind of angle it over, and that leaves plenty of room to go underneath the transmission. But I think I can go ahead and tack it on right there, and then I could probably put one more 45 and that will level it out right under the transmission. Okay, so I put the other 45 on there, and now that pipe sits pretty much level. It's not really close to anything, so I think right there will work out pretty good. But I'm going to tack everything first, make sure everything's going to fit good, and then we can fully weld everything up. Okay, so while I'm waiting for the driver's side to cool down, I'm going to go ahead and see what the passenger side is going to need. So I was looking at the downpipe, and it looks like it's pretty good shape, the factory one. And it's already got the bend the way I need it. So I think I'm going to go ahead and just reuse this piece, and then I'll be able to run just a straight piece of pipe into the Y pipe. So now I got the passenger side, I got it bolted on there. So I got the Y pipe, and it looks like I'll have enough room, so I should be able to run a straight piece of pipe on the passenger side, and then I just need to put a 90-degree on the driver. I'm going to angle this Y pipe down just a little bit, that way there's more room to work with. So I ordered another 90 shorter radius, so that there should work out a whole lot better, and that will leave us plenty of room for the passenger side. So I'm going to go ahead and put the Y pipe up here and a straight piece of pipe, and I'm going to go ahead and tack it on there for the passenger side. That way when I come and do the driver's side exhaust, I'll know what direction I need to put this 90 on the driver's side. I got the Y pipe sitting about where it needs to be. So now I'm going to go ahead and tack the 90 on, and then we should be able to run a straight piece of pipe. So everything up front is now tacked on. So now we need to come up behind the cross member here, and I need to go ahead and put a piece of pipe in there. So about right here is where I'm going to put the muffler. But something I want to do in case I ever need to drop some of the exhaust down, if I ever need to drop it down to work on the transmission or really to get to anything, something that I want to do is put some type of flange on there. That way if I want to just drop the front section, I can drop it. So I went on Summit Racing, picked up this flange piece, and I think I'm going to mount it probably somewhere right through here. That way there'll be enough room to slide that out and out from that cross member. Then I'm thinking about, after I weld the muffler on, putting one on the other side of it. That way if I need to drop the tailpipe or anything, I'll be able to do that. So before I go ahead and tack this piece of pipe on, I need to kind of see where it needs to sit at. So I think I'm going to go ahead and put the muffler up here and see exactly, because there's a little bit of play in there. So I'm going to go ahead and make a mark about right there. That way we'll know that we don't want the flange any farther down. That way it's not close to the cross member. So now that we got our piece cut, I'm going to go ahead and take the flange. I'm going to take one end, and I'm going to set it on top there and make sure it's lined up good. And I'm going to go ahead and weld that on. And then we'll be able to take our other piece and we can go ahead and bolt it down. And then we'll be able to weld the pipe back on. Then we'll be able to weld the other piece back on. So it looks like right there is about how it needs to sit. So now that this is tacked on, I'm gonna go ahead and unbolt the front section. That way I can weld it up good. But before I do that, on the driver's side I need to make a mark. That way I can mount a oxygen sensor. The passenger side, where I reused the downpipe piece, it's already got it in it. So make a mark there. Now I'm gonna go ahead and weld it up. Now that everything is welded up, I need to go ahead and make a spot for the oxygen sensor. So I bought these little weld-on pieces, and they're kind of grooved out. That way they sit on the pipe good. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and drill a hole big enough for the oxygen sensor, and then I'm going to weld this over top of it. So before I put this back under the Jeep, I want to go ahead and coat this with some high heat paint, especially since I welded quite a bit on it. And I also would like to wrap it in some kind of heat wrap, just to help keep some of the heat down. So I went and picked up some of this high heat paint. I picked up some of this titanium heat wrap, and I want to wrap this section of the exhaust in it. Now I've never used this stuff before, but I watched a couple of videos, and it seemed like most people folds this and then puts it to 45, and then they start slowly wrapping it around. Alright, so I got the heat wrap on. I just mainly want to do these little sections. So I'm going to go ahead and take the muffler, and I'm going to go ahead and tack that on. So before I go ahead and tack on the tailpipe to the muffler, I need to go behind the Jeep and make sure the tailpipe is center and everything looks straight. So right here is the hanger for the tailpipe. So we're going to hold the tailpipe up to where everything looks straight. So to make things easier, I decided to get one more flange. That way if we ever need to remove the tailpipe section, we'll be able to unbolt it also. Now I'm going to push the muffler up. I've got the front flange loose a little bit. That way it'll have some play. Alright, so the exhaust is now complete. Got everything up front bolted down. Got the oxygen sensors in. Got everything connected. So I did decide to do something different with this hanger up here. I think I'm going to do something similar to how the tailpipe bolts on. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to still install it like how I did, but instead of welding it, I'm going to install a clamp around this, and that'll help secure the pipe. Let's go ahead and start it up and see what it sounds like. So far I really like the sound of it. It's not too loud and it's got a real good deep sound. I'm really satisfied with the exhaust sound. It's not too loud, but it's got a really good deep sound. It can be loud if you rev it good, but overall I really like the sound of it. But I hope you liked the video. Thanks for watching. Please like and subscribe for more.